What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you what drifting really is and how people commonly misinterpret it. Let's get right into it. They even ask, why do people drift? And the very short, simple answer is because it's really fun. But in reality, drifting truly is a skilled motorsport and requires a lot of self-discipline if you want to be good at it and succeed. In drifting, if you're trying to perfect something, there's about a million different things you can do, but really, if you want to nail it down perfectly, you got about this big of a tolerance window of stuff that you need to do. Competitive drifting is not based off of lap time or passing the guy in front of you. Competitive drifting is based off of the line you take on the track, if you're filling all the zones perfectly like the judges want you to, and it's based off of style, pretty much how cool you look, and based off of angle, how far your wheels are turned while you're in drift. Style's my favorite though, because it really gives you a chance to show off yourself in your car and your true style. Drifting is really one of those things that everyone thinks they know until you actually break it down. One of the biggest misconceptions is the driver just loses control and he's just trying to save it the whole time, therefore sliding, making it look like he's trying to save it. In reality, drifting's the opposite. The driver knows exactly where he wants to go, exactly when the car's going to break traction, how much angle he wants to carry through the corner, and where he either needs to slow down his momentum or just stay completely matted on the gas. The competitive drift judge wants to see commitment, speed, angle, all the good things, like how sideways your car is and how close you are to the clipping points and how confident you just look all together. And then of course your stop. In the lead, you have to put down the most perfect run you can think of. You need a run so then the chase driver can get right up on you, and their goal is to mimic exactly what you're doing. As a chase driver, you mimic what the lead driver does. Now, I guess if the lead driver sucks and it's just completely unchaseable, kind of just do your thing back there and let them either drive themselves off track or stumble through the run. That's up to you as a driver to decide. So, you may be asking, what makes a drift car ready to drift? I could make a whole nother video just about that one topic, but in this one, I'm gonna keep it just as bare bones and simple as possible. A drift car, in super simple terms, is a car with a rear-wheel drive drivetrain. Now, that does not mean every rear-wheel drive car will drift the same. However, all drift cars have one thing in common. They are all rear-wheel drive. 99% of these rear-wheel drive cars, or drift cars, have what's called a welded differential. So, a differential is what pretty much drives your rear wheels. It's in every car. There's gears in there that allow them to turn at different speeds. So, say we're turning one way, and the outside wheel, it's always going to take a larger path than the inside wheel, so therefore it turns faster, and the gears in there allow that difference in speed so your car can turn smoothly. A welded diff is exactly as it sounds, the diff that's welded. We weld the gears inside there so they can't turn different speeds, they're just locked. So when you turn a welded diff car, the inside wheel will chirp, it'll go like, that's what's needed to drift most of the time. However, there are some cars with what's called a limited slip differential that when you break traction, it will lock the wheels together like a welded diff. The perks of a limited slip differential are better handling characteristics while off the throttle or while you're clutching it. But for the most part, they handle and act the same as a welded diff when you're on the gas. Setup, however, matters way more over the actual horsepower of the motor. I've seen a car with 200 horsepower battling a car with 400 horsepower, and the 200 horsepower car won. Let me tell you why. And it all came down to how the suspension was set up. Let me explain. The suspension on the 200 horsepower car was specifically tuned for the 200 horsepower that the motor produces, meaning the spring rates are perfectly what they need to be on a 200 horsepower car. The guy wasn't running too big of a tire because you have to be able to spin a tire. The car was overall just perfectly balanced all around for it to use its 200 horsepower it made as efficiently as possible, meaning the car also handled extremely well. And in drifting, you have to be able to control your car if you want to do anything somewhat good. It's just how it goes. The 400 horsepower car just did not have the setup it should have had. I imagine if the 400 horsepower car had the correct setup for how much power it was making, that battle would have looked completely different. All cars are set up differently though. All cars are just different altogether. You need to test and tune what works best for you and your car. And yes, you as a driver, because everyone has different preferences. My setup on my cars is different from the next guy. How a drift starts. There's 4 main ways to start a drift: power over, clutch kick, handbrake, and my favorite of all time, the feint entry or the Scandinavian flake. Power over works by flooring the gas, and the torque from the engine spins the tires and breaks the traction, therefore putting you in a drift. Clutch kick works by, you're driving, you floor it, and you pretty much do this with the clutch. You floor it down and let it back up. This works by disrupting the power. Imagine this is a clutch. You kick the pedal. It disrupts the power, allowing the engine RPM to spike. Then you rapidly let go of the clutch and it sends a shock through the whole drivetrain, therefore sending shock to your rear wheels, which breaks traction. Handbrake entry, which is the lamest way. Take usually a straight shot at the corner and you just yank the handbrake, which locks up the back wheels using the car's braking system. The feint entry, also known as a weight transfer, however, if you're going down the straightaway and you've got a corner, say it's a left-hand corner, you're gonna blaze down the straightaway, foot to the floor, and you're gonna yank your steering wheel to the right, upsetting the car, shifting all the weight to the left. And once you're like in this mini drift, while the car's really upset, you're gonna yank the steering wheel the other way and it's gonna throw the car in the direction it's gonna need to go. And then from there, you decide what you wanna do. The feint entry looks so cool when properly executed. Now you can combine these techniques. You can throw in a clutch kick and a feint entry to rapidly accelerate the feint entry, and then you can throw the car the other way and use the handbrake. So you can really see how it just goes a bunch of ways. Controlling the drift, the number one rule, you look where you want to go. You can't look that way and expect to go that way. Your car's going to naturally go where your eyes want to go. Now that leads me into the next one. Throttle control and counter steering. Throttle control is not being floored the whole time. It's controlling throttle based on your speed, your angle, if you want to pull more angle or shallow up on angle. Counter steering is if you want to maintain a drift, your wheels are going to be pointing one way. You need to let the wheel do its work. The steering wheel is going to automatically want to rotate because the wheels are turning. The easiest way to not spin out is have disciplined throttle control. If you control the throttle and know what it does when you floor it versus when you let off the gas, and when you modulate it, your skill is going to progress immensely, therefore allowing you a lot more tools in your toolbox to properly execute drifts. Now guys, in doing this crazy sport, safety should be everyone's number one priority. Do not go out on the street and do street drifts like an idiot. That's how drifting gets a bad repetition. You should always wear a helmet, proper safety restraints in your car, and it's not required, but I think you should always have a head and neck restraint or a Hans device. Any device that protects your neck if you get in a crash. If you want to learn how to drift, I cannot stress this to you guys more than anything. Please get a simulator. It is the biggest tool ever to learning drifting and progressing. I started on it years before I got my own car, and every skill I had developed when I did my first drift was purely from the simulator. To this day, I still practice every day. That's also how a lot of people practice when it's winter and it's our off season and there's no drift events. And after you've done however much sim drifting and you're like, heck yeah, I really want to do this in real life. I need a car. Do not go buy a crazy built car. You need a car that's just reliable and can drift, of course, but you need seat time. That's the first thing you should prioritize. Seat time, seat time, seat time. Comment down below if you guys would like me to make a whole series on how to drift a car, or just comment what videos you'd like to see on this channel. Until then, I love and appreciate all of you. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, hit all those buttons. See you guys next time.